You've been taking calcium your whole life, thinking you're protecting your bones, but what if calcium alone isn't just ineffective? It might actually be going to the wrong place. Today, I'm going to show you what the science actually says and reveal the two nutrients that clinical research says your bones are really starving for. Stay with me because this changes everything. We're going to cover the exact combination, the exact doses, and the critical warning that certain people absolutely cannot ignore. By the end of this video, you will never look at a calcium supplement bottle the same way again. Let's start with the uncomfortable truth. Billions of dollars are spent on calcium supplements every year. Billions. People dutifully swallow their calcium tablets, drink their fortified milk, and believe they are doing the right thing for their bones. And yet, fracture rates remain stubbornly high across Western countries. Osteoporosis diagnoses have not dropped the way you would expect, given how calcium-obsessed our culture has become. Something is clearly not adding up. Here is what makes this even more puzzling. The countries with the highest calcium and dairy intake in the world, think Scandinavia, the United States, Northern Europe, also have some of the highest rates of hip fractures. That is not a coincidence. Researchers have called this the calcium paradox. You consume more calcium, but your bones are not necessarily stronger. So where is that calcium actually going? Think of calcium in your bloodstream, like a crowd of people trying to get into a building with no security, no directions, and no map. Some of them might wander into the right room, but a lot of them are going to end up in the wrong place entirely. And in the case of calcium in your body, the wrong place is not just unhelpful, it can be genuinely problematic. We are talking about soft tissue. We are talking about blood vessels. Calcium needs what I call traffic directors. Without them, it floats through your system without purpose. And that is exactly what most calcium supplements give you: calcium with no traffic directors, no guidance, no map. So who are these traffic directors? That is exactly what we are here to talk about today. And before I give you the full picture, I want to plant a seed that will grow as we go through this together. The two nutrients your bones are truly starving for are vitamin K2 and magnesium, not instead of calcium alongside it, as the team calcium was always supposed to have. Keep that in mind as we dig deeper. Now let's talk science, because this is where things get really interesting. In 2015, a major review was published in the British Medical Journal, one of the most respected medical publications in the world. This review raised serious questions about whether calcium supplementation alone actually reduces fracture risk. The researchers examined the data and found that isolated calcium supplements, particularly at high doses, showed limited evidence of fracture prevention and raised concerns about cardiovascular risk in some populations. This is not fringe science. This is the British Medical Journal in 2015. That should make you stop and think. Now, I want to be absolutely clear here. This is not about demonizing calcium from food. Dietary calcium, the calcium you get from eating actual food, is fine. Your body handles it differently, absorbs it more gradually, and uses it more efficiently. What we are questioning is isolated calcium supplements taken without the essential cofactors that make calcium work properly. That distinction matters enormously, and here is where magnesium enters the picture. Studies suggest that up to 50 to 60% of people in developed countries do not meet their daily magnesium requirements. More than half. That is a staggering number when you understand what magnesium actually does in your body. Magnesium is required to activate vitamin D, and vitamin D is what regulates how much calcium your gut actually absorbs. Without magnesium, your vitamin D is less effective. And without effective vitamin D, calcium is poorly regulated and poorly directed. You can see how quickly this falls apart. So if you are currently supplementing with calcium or even vitamin D without addressing magnesium and K2, you may be pouring water into a bucket full of holes. You think you are filling it up, but the most important pieces are missing. And the result is that you are spending money, taking supplements daily, and potentially not getting the bone protection you believe you are getting. That is the agitating truth we need to sit with for a moment. Let's go deeper on magnesium, because this deficiency crisis is real and it is under-discussed. Why are so many people low in magnesium? Several reasons. First, soil depletion. Modern industrial farming has significantly reduced the mineral content of our soil over the past century. The vegetables you eat today contain meaningfully less magnesium than the same vegetables would have 50 years ago. Second, food processing. Refined grains, packaged foods, fast food, these are stripped of magnesium during processing. Third, lifestyle factors, high sugar intake, excessive alcohol consumption, chronic stress, and certain medications like proton pump inhibitors and diuretics all deplete magnesium from your body. And here's what low magnesium actually feels like, because some of you are going to recognize these symptoms right now. Muscle cramps, especially at night, poor sleep, fatigue that doesn't resolve with rest, anxiety that seems to come out of nowhere, constipation, headaches. Sound familiar? These are classic signs of low magnesium. And yes, weak bones, because magnesium is literally stored in your bone tissue. It makes up part of the bone mineral matrix, and it regulates parathyroid hormone, which controls how quickly your bones break down. Low magnesium means your body cannot properly regulate bone breakdown. That is a direct pathway to bone loss. Even people eating what they consider a healthy diet may unknowingly be deficient. Spinach, almonds, pumpkin seeds, yes, these are excellent magnesium sources. But the quantities you need to hit 300 to 400 milligrams per day from food alone are genuinely difficult to achieve consistently. And if your soil was depleted to begin with, even those whole foods are delivering less than you think. So we have covered calcium's limitations. We have covered magnesium's critical and underappreciated role. But what about K2? That is where the real magic happens. And I promise you, once you understand what K2 actually does in your body, you will never think about bone health the same way again. Vitamin K. Most people have heard of it in the context of blood clotting. But there are two very different forms of vitamin K, and they do very different things. Vitamin K1 is found in leafy green vegetables, and its primary role is blood clotting. That is the version most people know. Vitamin K2 is a completely different story. K2 is found in fermented foods and certain animal products, and its primary role is bone and cardiovascular health. These two forms of vitamin K are not interchangeable. K1 does not do what K2 does. This is a crucial distinction that mainstream nutrition messaging has almost completely ignored. So what does K2 actually do? It activates two critically important proteins. The first is osteocalcin. Osteocalcin is a protein produced by your bone-building cells, your osteoblasts. But here is the thing. Osteocalcin is biologically useless without K2. It just sits there, inactive. When K2 is present, it activates osteocalcin, and that activated osteocalcin acts like a hook. It grabs calcium from the bloodstream and pulls it directly into bone tissue. This is your traffic director. This is the manager telling calcium exactly where to go. Are you currently taking a calcium supplement? Think about that for a second. Drop a yes or a no in the comments right now. I genuinely want to know how many people watching this are in that situation. The second protein K2 activates is Matrix GLA Protein, or MGP. MGP is found in the walls of your arteries and soft tissues. When K2 activates MGP, it acts as a biological cleaner. It actively prevents calcium from depositing in arterial walls and soft tissue. Think about that. K2 is simultaneously pulling calcium into bones and keeping it out of arteries. It is the ultimate traffic director. It knows where calcium belongs and where it absolutely does not belong. The form of K2 matters here. There are two main forms, MK4 and MK7. MK7, also known as menaquinone 7, has a significantly longer half-life in the body. That means it stays active and circulating for much longer, roughly 72 hours, compared to just a few hours for MK4. MK7 produces more consistent blood levels, and it is the form most extensively studied for bone health outcomes. When you are shopping for a K2 supplement, look for MK7 specifically on the label. Now let's bring these two nutrients together and talk about the synergy, because individually they are impressive, but together they form something genuinely powerful. Here is how the system works when it is firing on all cylinders. Magnesium activates vitamin D3. Activated vitamin D3 dramatically increases how much calcium your gut absorbs from food and supplements. K2 then takes that absorbed calcium and, through osteocalcin, directs it into bone tissue, while MGP prevents it from accumulating in soft tissue and arteries. It is a three-part biological team. Magnesium is the engine, vitamin D is the absorption signal, K2 is the traffic director, and calcium is the raw material that all three of them are managing. Without magnesium, you cannot activate the vitamin D pathway, Without K2, calcium may absorb but go to the wrong place. This is exactly why isolated calcium supplementation so often underperforms. It is like hiring a skilled worker, giving them raw materials, and then providing no manager, no training, and no map of where to go. The work does not get done efficiently. And this is the full picture that mainstream calcium marketing has consistently left out because K2 and magnesium do not have billion-dollar marketing budgets behind them. The BMJ 2015 concerns, by the way, largely arose from trials where K2 and magnesium were not part of the protocol. Researchers were testing calcium in isolation. Of course, the results were underwhelming, or concerning the other team members were not on the field. So far, we have covered why calcium alone fails and exactly how K2 and magnesium work together. Now, let me give you the specific numbers so you know exactly what to look for on a supplement label. And before I get there, I want to flag that there is one critical interaction coming up in just a few minutes that certain people absolutely must hear before they run out and buy anything. Do not skip that part. For vitamin K2, the research-supported dose is 100 to 200 micrograms per day, specifically as MK7. This range has been used in multiple bone health studies and is generally well tolerated. You do not need to start at 200-100 micrograms, is a solid starting point for most healthy adults. For magnesium, 400 milligrams per day is the widely cited effective dose for adults, but form matters as much as dose. Magnesium glycinate is one of the best absorbed forms and is very gentle on your digestive system. Magnesium malate is another excellent option, particularly well suited for people who experience fatigue, as malate is involved in energy production. Both of these are significantly superior to magnesium oxide, which is unfortunately the most common form found in cheap, mass-market supplements. Magnesium oxide has poor bioavailability and frequently causes loose stools and digestive discomfort. Check your current supplement label. If it says magnesium oxide, you are getting far less than you think. Timing matters too. K2 is fat-soluble, which means it requires dietary fat to be properly absorbed. Always take it with a meal that contains some fat, even a small amount like olive oil or avocado is enough. Magnesium is best taken in the evening. It supports muscle relaxation and is well known for improving sleep quality, so taking it at night gives you a dual benefit. And if you are still supplementing with calcium, keep individual doses to 500 milligrams or less. Your gut can only absorb so much calcium at one time, and large doses are less efficiently used. Now, the warning. This is non-negotiable, and I need you to really hear this. Vitamin K2 interacts with blood-thinning medications. Specifically, it interacts with warfarin, which is also sold under the brand name Coumadin and other vitamin K antagonist anticoagulants. Here is why. Warfarin works by blocking vitamin K-dependent clotting factors. That is its mechanism. If you introduce additional vitamin K2 into your system through supplementation, it can directly interfere with how warfarin works and alter your INR levels, that is the measure of how quickly your blood clots. If your INR shifts unpredictably, the risk of dangerous bleeding or dangerous clotting increases. This is not a theoretical concern. This is a real, clinically documented interaction. If you are on warfarin, Coumadin, or any anticoagulant that works by blocking vitamin K, you must speak with your doctor before taking any K2 supplement. Full stop. No exceptions. For those on newer anticoagulants, medications like rivaroxaban, sold as Xarelto, or apixaban, sold as Eliquis, these work through a different mechanism and may not carry the same interaction risk. However, you should still consult your doctor before starting K2. Do not assume. Ask. Also worth noting, people with certain heart rhythm conditions should discuss magnesium supplementation with their physician, as magnesium at high doses can affect cardiac conduction in sensitive individuals. At standard doses of 400 milligrams, this is rarely a concern for healthy adults, but if you have a heart condition, have that conversation first. I am sharing this warning not to frighten you, but because real health information comes with real context. This information from Medimint Health is meant to empower you, and empowerment means having the complete picture, including the parts that require caution. Let's talk food, because I always want to give you a food-first foundation before we talk about supplements. For K2, the single richest dietary source on Earth is natto-fermented soybeans. 100 grams of natto contains roughly 900 micrograms of K2. That is extraordinary. However, Natto has a very strong, pungent flavor and a sticky, slimy texture that most people raised outside of Japan find genuinely challenging. If you are willing to try it, amazing. But for most people watching this, natto is not going to become a daily staple. Other good K2 sources include hard-aged cheeses like Gouda and Edam, egg yolks from pasture-raised chickens, grass-fed butter, and grass-fed liver. These contribute meaningful amounts of K2, though significantly less than natto. For magnesium from food, your best options include pumpkin seeds. 1 ounce delivers about 150 milligrams, which is genuinely impressive. Dark chocolate at 70% cacao or higher contains magnesium and also happens to be delicious. Avocado, black beans, quinoa, almonds, and spinach are all solid contributors. Here is a simple example of a magnesium-rich day. A handful of pumpkin seeds as a mid-morning snack, half an avocado with lunch, and a square or two of dark chocolate after dinner. That combination alone could bring you close to 300 milligrams. Add a magnesium glycinate supplement in the evening and you are hitting your target comfortably. Now let me speak directly to the people who will benefit most from what we have covered today. If you are a woman over 40 approaching or past menopause, this is essential information for you. Estrogen decline accelerates bone loss significantly, and this window of life is when bone density decreases fastest. K2 and magnesium are not optional extras for this group. They are foundational. If you have been told by a doctor to take more calcium and you have been doing that for years but your bone density scans have not improved meaningfully, this video is exactly for you. You have been given incomplete advice through no fault of your doctors. The field is evolving, and the cofactor picture is now clearer than it has ever been. If you have been taking calcium supplements and are concerned about cardiovascular health K2, specifically through its activation of MGP, may be the missing piece that gives you confidence your calcium is going where it should. If you experience muscle cramps at night, poor sleep, fatigue, or anxiety alongside any bone health concerns, magnesium addresses multiple issues simultaneously. It is one of the few nutrients where the benefits extend into virtually every system of your body. And if you are over 65 and concerned about fall and fracture, risk bone density is one piece. But muscle function and nerve conduction also depend on magnesium. This mineral matters more as we age, not less. For everyone in these groups, getting a DEXA scan to establish your actual bone density baseline is an important first step. You cannot know whether you are improving if you do not know where you are starting from. Talk to your doctor about scheduling one if you have not had it done recently. Before we wrap up, let me give you the 5 most common mistakes people make with bone health supplements, because avoiding these will save you money and actually get you results. Mistake number 1. Taking high-dose calcium, we are talking 1,000 milligrams or more, without K2 or magnesium. Based on everything we have covered, you now understand exactly why this is problematic. Mistake number 2. Choosing magnesium oxide because it is cheap. Poor absorption, gut issues, low benefit. Pay a little more for glycinate or malate. Your digestive system will thank you. Mistake number 3. Taking K2 without fat. It is fat soluble. Without fat in your meal, it is not absorbed properly. Always pair it with food containing at least a small amount of healthy fat. Mistake number 4. Ignoring vitamin D3 entirely. K2 and vitamin D3 work together in the calcium directing system. Many people are D3 deficient, especially in northern latitudes and during winter months. A D3 deep dive is a separate video and that video is coming, but do not forget that D3 is part of this team. Mistake number 5. Expecting overnight results. Bone remodeling is a slow process. Your body replaces roughly 10% of bone tissue per year. A realistic timeline for seeing meaningful changes in bone density is 6 to 12 months of consistent supplementation and lifestyle support. Get a follow-up DEXA scan at that point to assess your progress. Do not give up at week 4 because you cannot feel a difference. Bones do not send you daily progress updates. Stay consistent. Let's bring it all together. 3 things I want you to walk away knowing today. Number 1. Calcium alone is not the full answer for bone health, and the British Medical Journal's 2015 findings support a more complete, cofactor-inclusive approach. Number 2. Vitamin K2 at 100 to 200 micrograms as MK7 and magnesium at 400 milligrams in glycinate or malate form Form a science-backed biological team that helps calcium actually do its job, getting into bone and staying out of soft tissue. Number 3. If you are on blood thinners, especially warfarin or Coumadin, talk to your doctor before starting K2. That conversation is not optional. Your bones are living tissue. They are constantly breaking down and rebuilding. They respond to what you give them or what you withhold. Start giving them the full picture. If you learned something new today, hit the like button. It genuinely helps this content reach more people who need it. And drop a comment below. Have you ever tried K2 or magnesium for bone health? What has your experience been? I read those comments, and I want to hear your story. And subscribe to Medimint Health if you want evidence-based health content that cuts through the noise and actually gives you something actionable. Because next time, we are going deep on vitamin D3, and specifically, why dosing D3 alone without its cofactors may not be giving you the results you think. That one is going to surprise you. This content is for educational purposes only. Please consult your doctor before making health changes.